Our spotlight presentation today, I'm going to call on Elizabeth Morrissey, our Senior Director of Policy and Operations and Intergovernmental and Legislative Affairs. And she and her team are going to present the spotlight presentation on ESD-related items in the 26-27 New York State budget.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for inviting me to present today on this year's state budget. Overall, this was a very successful budget year for ESD. We secured over $800 million in new ESD program spending with a heavy focus on innovation and community building programs. There's quite a bit to cover, so I'll go through the slides first, but I'll be sure to leave time for questions at the end. Oh, I think I have to click it. There we go. As I mentioned, this was a big year for innovation with over half a dozen new innovation-focused programs. The first is Bolstering Biotech, which is an umbrella term for several programs designed to strengthen New York's leadership in the biotech subsector of life sciences. The first program under Bolstering Biotech is a clinical trial consortium. Clinical trials are critically important in pharmaceutical development, and states that make clinical trials easier and more effective are more likely to attract investment. This new consortium will focus on helping members share access to patients and data to make clinical trials faster and easier in New York State. The initial focus will be on clinical trials for neurodegenerative diseases, since this is a strong emerging need, and this is an area where New York has research strengths to leverage. The next program is Commercialization Grants. A fancier title is still TBD. It's inspired by the success of our former Biodefense Commercialization Grant Program. This new program will help commercialize therapeutics also targeting neurodegenerative diseases. Startups and academic institutions will be eligible for grants to help them get promising therapeutics over the final hurdles of development and into the marketplace. Too far. Sorry. Next, we have our new quantum commercialization hubs. Quantum technology uses the unique behavior of subatomic particles to process and measure information in new ways, which will transform fields like computing, medicine, and advanced manufacturing. For example, quantum particles can be linked to transmit information in a way that is unhackable, which will open a new frontier for secure financial transactions. New York State is already a leader in quantum research, so these new hubs will focus on commercializing new research discoveries into revolutionary new products and services. The hubs will also serve as incubators for quantum startups and will foster quantum technology adoption in their regions. Keeping with the high-tech theme, we have our Downstate Semiconductor Design Center. As you all know, New York has a thriving semiconductor ecosystem, but one area where we have room to grow is chip design. Design is the earliest stage of chip development cycle, and it's largely digital. It requires advanced computing systems and engineering talent rather than huge factories. This new center is a strong opportunity to leverage New York City's tech talent to support the state's broader semiconductor ecosystem. Because while downstate doesn't have the space for semiconductor factories, it does have the tech talent needed to excel at chip design. The center will help early stage startups, design-focused startups, get access to cutting-edge equipment, and will foster connections with industry leaders. While incubation of startups will be key, the center will also foster design activity and investment from larger companies as well. Next, we have the Governor's Manufacturing Modernization Program. This is another umbrella term for two separate programs intended to make New York's small and mid-sized manufacturers more globally competitive. The center's component will focus on increasing existing support for existing technical assistance centers that help small and mid-sized manufacturers. The goal is to help these existing organizations scale up their capacity and expertise to help advise manufacturers on critical emerging technologies like AI, robotics, and cybersecurity. Each selected center will focus on one in-depth specialty, for example, AI or cybersecurity, and will offer in-depth consultations and assistance on that topic for manufacturers statewide. The Direct Manufacturers Program, another one where we're still working on a flashier name, will help small manufacturers invest in expansions or advanced technologies to expand into emerging sectors like clean tech or life sciences. An example would be a manufacturer who wants to pivot from making oil furnaces into electric heat pumps. So in addition to our innovation programs, we have several new community building programs. First is the Rochester Monroe Transformation Initiative, which is $225 million that will give Rochester and Monroe County an economic boost by funding a wide range of potential projects with a focus on those that will have a transformative impact. We also have New York Space, which stands for Saving Performing Arts and Cultural Experiences, which is $10 million in capital funding to help small performing arts organizations purchase a permanent venue location to help them ensure the long-term viability of their organization. We also have New York Kicks, inspired by the excitement around the World Cup. New York Kicks funds the creation of soccer fields in disadvantaged communities statewide. We also received additional funding for some of our existing programs, most notably $100 million for FAST and $50 million for Restore New York. The $100 million for Power Up is part of the previously announced $300 million. There were also changes in this year's budget to Seeker and CLPCA. These technically aren't under ESD's purview, but since they're relevant to development projects, I'll cover them briefly. For Seeker, the changes mainly involve expediting timelines for housing projects and public spaces like parks, particularly in situations where the land was previously disturbed by other development. It also requires an agency to make the EIS available within 2 years of the determination that a draft is required. And for CLPCA, also known as the Climate Act, the changes include adjusting the timeline for the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and setting 2028 as the new deadline for the state to release regulations on cap and invest. And 2040 is the new date for the 60% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. I realize that was a bit of a whirlwind, but I wanted to leave time for questions. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth. One question. I was familiar with a lot of it, but the downstate chip design, is that going to be a competition, or do we already know where that's going?
Yes, we're going to release a competitive RFP this summer, or possibly early this fall.
Got it. And what's downstate? Is it Hudson Valley, New York City, and Long Island, or is it?
The MTA commuter district is what we're considering Long Island for the purpose of the RFP.
And the RFP is going, and who would the RFP go to? Government, or would it go to universities, or is it going to go to the private sector, or all of the above?
It's going to target nonprofits, but we are hoping for consortium-style applications. We want this to be a very collaborative center, but there will likely be one nonprofit lead.
Very cool. Very good. And seems like we got every time there's a state budget, and when it wraps up, a lot more work for ESD to do.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is good. We seem to be the go-to agency for the state, the governor and the legislature, and entrepreneurial and nimble enough to get things done, which is great. Anybody else have any questions for Elizabeth? Francine?
Just a reminder, what is the Power Up Fund?
The Power?
Power Up Fund?
That's a NIPA program, but Elizabeth, go ahead.
Oh, it is NIPA. All right. I thought
Our Power Up program is similar to FAST New York in that it focuses on site prep for industrial development, but it specifically focuses on power infrastructure because we found that is one of the most pressing needs for industrial sites.
And it helps with the infrastructure, the grants?
Correct. Yes, electrical infrastructure.
And I'm sorry, Francine. So, and the NIPA program that we tie in with a lot of our economic development, what's that acronym for?
Power for jobs.
Yeah.
No, but it has something else. It's something else. It's when companies get allocated certain amount of power for manufacturing jobs.
Recharge.
Recharge. That's
Yes.
it. Yes. That's it. Yeah, very good. Yeah. So Recharge could team up with Power Up. Interesting. All right. Anybody else? All All right. Well, thanks. Where, Elizabeth, are you based up in Albany?
Yes, I am.
To keep tabs on everything that's happening up there.
Will do, sir.
Yeah, very. All right, okay. Thank you. All right. We're gonna now move on